Imagine this. Two people earn the exact same paycheck, same job, same salary. But one of them quietly earns money while they sleep, and the other one leaks cash all month in tiny fees and bad account choices. They didn't change jobs, they just chose different bank accounts. So which one are you closer to right now? And how sure are you that your so-called everyday account isn't secretly more expensive than it needs to be? A lot of us don't really choose our bank. We kind of drift into it. Maybe you opened your first account where your parents banked, or you clicked on the big shiny ad when you got your first job. It's like picking a gym because it's on your way home, and then never checking if the equipment is any good or if you're paying too much. Here's the good news. You don't need to become a finance expert or read a stack of books to upgrade your setup. Think of this more like reorganizing your financial closet. You're not throwing everything out. You're just deciding what belongs on an easy access shelf and what should be folded away somewhere safe, protected, and quietly working for you. In this episode, we're going to do three things. First, we'll map out the main types of accounts and institutions. Second, we'll look at how they fit together in your life. And third, we'll build a simple blueprint so your money system feels intentional, not accidental. Let's start by zooming out. Before you pick specific accounts, I want you to picture your whole money system like you're organizing a kitchen. You need a spot for quick grab items. You need a place to store the bulk stuff. And you need tools that match how you actually live. Some people live on takeout and just need a microwave and one drawer. Other people meal prep, batch cook, and have a deep freezer in the garage. Your banking setup works the same way. The right mix depends on three things: how often money flows in and out, how much you keep on hand, and how hands-on you like to be with apps, tracking, and automation. So to keep this simple, start with two big zones in your system: your everyday zone and your quiet growth zone. Let's talk about the everyday zone first. Your everyday zone is your checking account. This is home base. Treat it like the counter space in your kitchen. Things land there, get used quickly, and then move on. Your paycheck comes in. Your bills and card payments go out. You keep just enough ingredients on the counter so you're not constantly running to the pantry, but you're also not leaving food out to go bad. The goal with checking is not to grow your money. The goal is smooth, low-stress cash flow. You want things to move in and out with as little friction and as few surprise fees as possible. Now let's shift to the second zone, your quiet growth zone. This is your savings. Your savings is more like a pantry or a freezer. You don't open it 20 times a day, but it quietly supports everything else in your life. Money in savings should be just a bit harder to grab on impulse, but still easy enough to reach when you truly need it. Think emergency fund. Think upcoming trip. Think moving expenses. This is money that has a job, just not a today job. So that's the what: everyday checking, quiet growth savings. Now let's layer in the where. Where do these zones live? Usually they live at one of three places: a big traditional bank, an online or digital bank, or a credit union. I want you to picture these like three different kinds of grocery stores. First, traditional banks. These are the giant supermarkets you see everywhere. They're familiar. They have physical branches. You can walk in, talk to a human, get a cashier's check, maybe open other products. They're convenient if you like in-person help, but they're often less exciting if you care about getting a good interest rate or avoiding every possible fee. Second, online banks or neobanks. These are more like discount warehouses. There's no fancy building. You don't get marble floors, but you often get better prices, meaning higher savings yields, fewer fees, and really slick apps. These can be great if you're comfortable doing everything on your phone and you don't need to walk into a branch. Third, credit unions. Think of these as local co-ops. They're member-owned. That usually means friendlier policies and sometimes better rates on savings or loans. The trade-off is they tend to have smaller footprints and more variation from place to place. One credit union can be amazing, another might feel limited. Your job is not to pick one forever. Your job is to mix and match what works. For example, you might keep a checking account at the supermarket down the street so you can easily deposit cash or talk to someone in person. Meanwhile, your savings lives at a high-yield warehouse online, where it grows faster and is less tempting to raid because it's not right next to your debit card. As you compare banks and accounts, don't just skim logos and scroll through app screenshots. Really think of it like reading a recipe card. Ask yourself, how hard is it to move money between my everyday zone and my quiet growth zone? What happens if I mess up, if I overdraft or a payment gets declined? How clearly does this bank explain its rules and its fees? You're not just choosing containers to hold money. You're designing how money will move through your life, mostly on autopilot. Now let's make this even more concrete and talk about choosing specific accounts. Think of it like packing for a trip. You don't bring your whole closet. You pick the right bags for what you're actually doing. A basic checking account is your day pack. It's light. It's with you all the time. It holds what you're going to use this week. A high-yield savings account is your suitcase back at the hotel. It holds the bulk of your stuff, safe, out of the way, but close enough that you can grab things when plans change. When you're comparing account options, imagine every feature as a zipper or a pocket on that bag. Free ATM access? That's the outside pocket for quick reach. A clean, easy-to-use app? That's a smooth zipper you'll be grateful for every day. A clunky app? That's a stuck zipper you'll regret every single time you try to use it. And hidden fees? Those are like the surprise baggage charges at the airport. Technically, they told you, but if you didn't plan for them, they still sting. Some people like to add one more bag in between, a kind of carry-on. This might be a separate savings or checking account that exists just for your bills. Here's how that works. Money lands in your main checking from each paycheck. Then you move the bill money straight into this separate account. It just sits there quietly and waits for due dates. The result is that your spending account feels less like a messy, overstuffed suitcase and more like a neatly packed bag with clear compartments. You can see what's really available for spending because your bill money is already spoken for and sitting somewhere else. Now, as tools and apps keep evolving, your setup might start to feel less like using paper maps and more like using navigation apps. You don't have to memorize every turn. Instead, you glance at live directions. Your bank or app can send alerts that say, "Hey, you're about to hit a fee pothole. Move money from savings to checking." Or, "Looks like the road ahead is clear. Want to nudge a little extra into savings?" The key idea here is that you stay in the driver's seat. Use automation like cruise control, not full autopilot. Let it make the ride smoother, but check in often enough that you can reroute when your real-life plans change. And here's one more important mindset shift. Your right accounts are not a one-time decision. They will shift as your life shifts. Think of it like swapping a tiny studio apartment for a bigger place when you need more space. New job? New partner? Big move? Those are all moments to pause and re-measure. Ask yourself, are my rooms, my accounts, still the right size? Are they still worth the price I'm paying in fees, effort, or friction? At least once a year, walk through your accounts like a landlord doing an inspection. What still works? What's collecting dust? What deserves an upgrade, or maybe even to be closed and replaced? All right, let's bring this all together and turn it into action you can actually take this week. So here's what we covered today. First, we talked about your money system as a whole, like organizing a kitchen. You've got an everyday zone, your checking, where money lands and gets used quickly. And a quiet growth zone, your savings, where money with a future job can sit safely and support everything else. Second, we looked at where those zones can live: traditional banks, online banks, and credit unions. Each one has a personality: supermarket, warehouse, or local co-op, and you get to mix and match them to fit your life. Third, we zoomed in on specific accounts. Your checking account is your day pack. Your high-yield savings is your suitcase at the hotel. And you can even add a carry-on account just for bills to keep your spending money clean and easy to understand. And finally, we talked about using apps and automation like navigation and cruise control. Let them help you avoid potholes and build savings on autopilot. But you still hold the steering wheel and you still decide when it's time to change routes. Now let's turn this into real progress. Here's your simple action plan for this week. Number 1. Take a few minutes to jot down the key ideas from this episode about choosing the right accounts. When you write things down, even in your phone's Notes app, you're way more likely to remember and actually use them. Number 2. Look at your own setup and pick one specific place where this applies to you right now. Maybe your checking account keeps charging you fees. Maybe your savings is earning almost nothing. Maybe everything is at one bank and that makes it too easy to dip into your savings. Number 3. Take one small action based on what you found. That could be opening a separate savings account, setting up a bills-only account, moving a little money into a higher yield option, or even just reading your bank's fee page with fresh eyes. It does not have to be huge. Even a tiny step counts because it changes the direction you're moving in. If you do only those 3 things, write it down, find one place it applies, take one small action, you've already turned this episode from just interesting information into an actual upgrade of your money system. And that's the whole point: not perfection, just progress, and accounts that are finally working for you, not the other way around.